What's going on, guys and girls? How you doing today? It's Singer Roleplay here once again. Today I want to present you the build that was my league starter in 3.7 melee league, and the original plan was to play SRS, but then I kind of in the last minute reconsidered to do Ends Might Cleave Berserker, but Cleave Dreams were shattered quite fast because I quickly realized that how the Cleave is kind of shit. And even the revoked threshold jewel for the cleave just doesn't do justice. It's just terrible AoE, and the damage is kind of okay, but the AoE is so annoying that it scales based on the round of enemies nearby. And if you have like 3 enemies nearby and 20 enemies which are far away, you basically do no AoE damage, and that's shit. So I started looking instantly for something to replace my plan. And switched from Cleave to something else, and I quickly discovered that Ice Crash has got a revoke as well. It now has flat cold damage at it, and it has 20% increased area of effect as well. So I started playing Ice Crash, and I instantly kind of found the synergy between basically my original plan and this skill. Worked absolutely fantastic. Just exactly as I thought, and even better, way better than Cleave, and that's why I decided to reconsider, and I present you the fully pledged Ice Crash Crazy Berserker build. Here we go, guys. This is path of building. This is exactly the tree that I'm using for my build. First of all, why Berserker and not, for example, Juggernaut or Champion or whatever? I really wanted to try Berserker. I really wanted to try it in a 3.7 because it was dramatically reworked. It's now has very limited disadvantages with the degen, so it's very useful, very strong. We saw enormous amount of attack speed on the Berserker, and I really wanted to see how much is the synergy with the new melee skills on the Berserker. And Jesus fucking Christ, guys, it's absolutely crazy. The attack speed is fucking ridiculous. It's just perfect for literally any melee skill in the game right now. So Berserker is there for attack speed, for a crazy amount of crit. It also has a decent synergy with the crit, but attack speed is absolutely mind-blowing there. So we're starting as the Marauder and going to the Berserker as the Ascendancy, starting here, taking life. First thing you're gonna get is obviously this life nodes, and stretch to the right and try to get some fat life nodes in general. Once you'll be gathering crit, you don't really care about you don't really care about crit chance at the very beginning of the game. You're just mostly trying to stretch out as much as possible to take these crit nodes once you get the actual swords, so we have like fully stacked and ready. So at first I tried gathering some generic like one-handed physical damage nodes over there, just this, some life over there, some life here, generic one-handers like attack speed, whatever, weapon damage with dual wielding, because we'll be dual wielding in this build as well, so this is pretty much priority. So stretch out onto this node over here to get Blade Master, and then stretch out, start stretching out to these blades on the right to get this. This will juice up your damage earlier on without specking into crit. Once you actually get crit weapons, start gathering crit, which is mandatory. The first and the most important thing is getting Twin Turrets. This is 75% increased crit strike chance while dual wielding. This is the best thing ever. Also very important is to get this wheel, which is basically a lot of crit chance and crit multiplier, as well as these nodes, a lot of crit strike chance and multiplier, and this is a crit fizz damage with swords as well. This is what you'll be getting out, like 70, 80 something. The very last nodes you'll be taking this, which is a Primeval Force. I personally did not take it on my character because I prefer to be tanky. I'm pretty bad at bossing, so I stacked myself like 6.8 thousand life instead. I took an extra jewel node. I took extra life nodes where possible, like I took this and this and this. So I just prefer to stack more life. But if you're a good player, you have good skill with melee skills in general, have a lot of knowledge on this, you can definitely stack Primeval Force and as well as Heartseeker for your absolute endgame nodes over there. So in general, I would say it's a pretty straightforward classic crit melee build with just a little bit of elemental damage over there, and otherwise it's pretty much a classic melee build. Let's talk about the items real quick, and the build relies on the Ensmite. This is probably the cheapest, strongest, unique sword in the game, and this thing is quite interesting how it functions. First of all, it reduces your maximum charges. Like if you have one weapon, you have -1 max friendly charges. If you have two, you have -2 max friendly charges. And with one more item, which is the pacifism unique jewel, you get even one more or less maximum friendly charges, what's making you absolutely no maximum friendly charges. You never get and see any maximum friendly charges, but when you have no friendly charges, you get 50% increased global crit multiplier for each blade. So 2 blades give you 100% increased global global crit multiplier. This allows you to reach 700 crit multiplier. This is practically the only way how you can reach such a high crit multiplier without wearing the Abyssus. And since this is Berserker, Abyssus is kind of retarded in my opinion. You'll just die left and right. It's already squishy, so no Abyssus here, and this is pretty much as Abyssus without the Abyssus, let me put it this way. For the blades themselves, I strongly recommend you to get as high fizz as possible, at least like 370, 180 for the corrupted ones. And this is the blade that I bought myself on trade, and this is 400 DPS blade, which is practically a mirror tier, but it can be mirrored because it's corrupted. But it's a super lucky corruption that I bought for 2 Exile, probably very cheap, but I was super lucky on this, and this is what I eventually will be aiming for the corruption. Keep in mind that these swords also give you accuracy while at maximum frenzy charges, and you're always maximum frenzy charges, so you get like 1000 more accuracy, just like on the Juggernaut practically. So hitting anything is not a problem. You're always like 100 to 99 to 100 crit hit chance, so it's not a problem at all. Even with the corruption, like you're not losing accuracy at all. For the helmet, this is pretty much just a rare helmet with a life resist, and helmet chance should be ice crash fizz damage as extra cold damage. This is number 1 for damage. The second best is 40% ice crash damage. If you don't have this, I recommend buying a cheap Starconius head, also carry you well into the end game. This is probably the best, cheapest thing you can get. For the body armor, there's the new buffed Maim, which is pretty much mandatory to really push your damage to the absolute fucking end game. And this kind of chest is extremely expensive, at least like 20 Exiles. This is level like 86 Astral Plate, which will allow you to get a 1.5 crit strike chance. So I explained it in the written part of the build guide how you can get this, how you can even craft this. But honestly, critical strike chance is not mandatory, but this is a mod that you can only get on the Elder Plate. Aside from this, level 1 Maim is practically what you need to get a 7 link. So if you run with just the Maim, it's already more than enough. Crit strike chance is just an absolute like top tier addition. If you have the currency, you can invest into this. That's about it. That makes us a 7 link. For the gloves, we'll be using Scarum's Noble gloves, which is Assassin's Mark on hit. A lot of attack critical strike chance per accuracy. We have an enormous amount of accuracy to give us a lot of crit, also some life and chance to dodge spell damage. Incredibly strong gloves for this build, specifically very important. Boots are basically anything rare with the penetration. If you haven't killed recently, this is a top tier enchant you can get on the boots. And the second best is added cold damage. I also have it on my character as well. The amulet is the exact amulet that I'm wearing right now on my character. I bought it for 1 Exile, but I was kind of lucky on this, I guess, because amulets such as this, like it's about like 1 to 10 Exiles, because they give you a flat fizz damage to attacks, crit multiply, and elemental damage with attacks, which is what you would be looking for. Rings are practically just absolutely generic rings. Life, a lot of resist, elemental damage with attacks. Rings are your main place where are you getting resists, as well as on the helmet and boots of cost. So rings are practically just added damage with attacks and life and resist. You can also get some flat fizz rings, which are pretty much the same damage. It just depends what you can get, honestly. I think elemental damage with attacks is in general easier because you can craft it and it will be the same as flat fizz. The belt is Perseverance. This is my favorite belt for literally any melee build. If you don't have a problem with resist, I strongly recommend using Perseverance for one good reason. Attack damage per lowest of armor and evasion. Not only this, but you have onslaught while you have 45. Since we always have 45 because we're using our 45 in a 6-link, we always have onslaught, and this makes us that we don't need an onslaught flask on us. We always have onslaught, and this is probably the best belt for literally any melee build. Another thing that it potentially can be used is, of course, the belt of the Deceiver. Maybe you can hit some good corruption with this, but pretty much Perseverance is mandatory to have. For the flasks, I put them on in the path of build, in the path of Exile forums, but I will go real quick. Life Flask, Diamond Flask, Tyrus Promise, Taste of Hate, Lion's Roar, and that's about it. The Watcher's Eye is here as an example of what kind of Watcher's Eye you potentially can get for your build. I just don't have it. They have dramatically increased in price as the league goes by. Originally, when I started playing the build, they were like 10 to 15 exiled, and no one gave a shit about them. I just was very poor at the beginning of the league and I couldn't afford this. But now that I have the currency, unfortunately the price of the Watcher's Eye has also increased. It's now like 40 to 50 exiled, which is super expensive. I don't have the Watcher's Eye and it's not really necessary, just super crazy damage with this. Honestly, it will allows you to go over 700 crit multiply with this Watcher's Eye. But so this is your kind of stretch goal for the end game, right? Generic jewels are just crit multi with dual wielding, crit multi with swords, one-handed weapons, crit multi with elemental skills, crit multi with cold skills, life, melee damage, cold damage, everything that can be useful. And don't forget that we need one pacifism jewel as well. For the bandits, I personally took Allura for the early mana regen help, as well as resists and crit multiply. But honestly, this is not very important because you can get 2 skill points and just invest into one more jewel socket and pretty much get this kind of resist and crit multiply and whatever the fuck you want. You will be leeching mana anyway, so you don't really need this mana regen. And also, potentially, you can use 2 skill points, which will be better for you. For the Ascendancy, I also explained it in the Path of Exile forums, but I definitely recommend going Crave the Slaughter first, then Rider Ruin, then Warbringer to make you kind of sustain better during the mapping, the early mapping. This will make you much safer, and Flawless Savagery is just the Uber Lab thing there. Now you probably ask me, why no Aspect of Carnage? Guys, Aspect of Carnage is ridiculous. It can go like over 7-8 million DPS here. 7-8 million DPS, but it also makes you incredibly squishy. 10% increased damage taken, which makes you squishy against the Legion. Probably when the build will transition into some other league, it will not be an issue. You can play with the Aspect of Carnage, but I decided I'm gonna go Warbringer because literally this is your infinite life flask. Literally, it'll save your life. I haven't lost count how many times this thing saved my life in all kind of boss encounters, all kind of Legion encounters, all kind of fucking encounters in the game. This is literally priceless. I probably will never take Aspect of Carnage unless I'm having like Life on Hit Leech, Super Leech character, whatever. Warbringer is just, I think, mandatory to survive a strong league content. That's about it. Now let's talk about the skills really quick, guys. I'll have all of this in the Path of Building link, all in the forums, but the first question will probably asking why there is like 6 million damage and you have like 4.4 here. There's one reason for that, and this the reason is that not all gems are currently being calculated in Path of Building. For example, we're using Close Combat gem, would give us 59% more melee damage to enemies based on proximity. So basically, when the enemy is nearby, he gets 59% more melee damage. And if we multiply this by this, we'll go over 6 million, easy peasy. So unfortunately, it does like absolutely nothing for the calculations in Path of Building now. If you take, for example, Roofless, this is pretty close to close combat. You will see that it's well over 6 million over there. So 6 link is Ice Crash, Conk Effect, Melee Fizz, Elemental Damage with attacks, Fortify, and Close Combat. And this is my bossing setup. I also use 3 different setups to map, to boss, and for the AoE specifically, like clearing AoE. For the generic mapping, I use increased critical strikes as well as pulverize to give me more arrow effect. So I drop LA damage with attacks for pulverize and conk effect for increased critical strike. That's about it. If you want to play with Carcass Jack, this is also absolutely mind-blowing experience. Literally, you just cover like the whole fucking screen with AoE, and if you put increased arrow effect instead of conk effect, increased strike chance will be retarded amount of AoE, literally covering the whole screen. Another falling is Ancestral Protector. He's just there for the attack speed with Blood Rage, Blood Insane, and Maim. And Maim double dips with Bloods and giving you more physical damage taken to the enemies as well. The auras are practically just Hatred and Precision. Precision level 1, keep it low. Hatred and Precision are the only 2 that are mandatory. The rest are mostly choices. Herald of Ashes for clear speed, Herald of Purity for the single target, and Arctic Armor if for the toughest encounters like Uber, Elder, and Shaper. I recommend switching to Arctic Armor. In general, it makes you like really safe among all content, including the Legion as well. So mobility, Leap Slam, faster attacks, Blood Magic, nothing crazy. You can get Maim or Cooling Strike here as you wish. On the weapons, I have Enduring Cry, Steel Skill, and increased duration, as well as on the other one I have increased duration, cast on damage taken, and Immortal Call. Unfortunately, Immortal Call interrupts with the Steel Skin, so it kind of 2 guard skills now. But I manually press this. I manually press Enduring Cry and Steel Skin. So this how it is. I just run and press Enduring Cry and Steel Skin all the time, and custom damage taken just automatically triggers Immortal Call when necessary. Assassin's Mark is given us by the Scarabs and Bugloves. So, thanks for watching the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the build. It was a lot of fun creating this, and I super enjoyed Ice Crash in general. It's a fantastic skill. Super strong against AoE and single target, just mind-blowing. If you want to see more content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll be releasing more and more build guides, and I'll be releasing one more build guide this league for sure. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you soon. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for watching the video. Your likes and dislikes, especially, as they push me forward even more. If you want to see more content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I do daily uploads of role-playing content, being it builds, guides, let's play, stream highlights, and upcoming RPG games. Also, don't forget to follow my Twitch stream to catch me live in action. I do stream daily on working days. I'm a full-time YouTube content creator and a Twitch streamer too, so if you want to support me, you can do it either from Twitch or by PayPal directly from my website angryroleplayer.com. Join my Discord channel too for a place to discuss RPG things offline, as well as follow my Twitter to be notified on any new content. If you want to get extra information like sneak peeks into upcoming videos, plans, different behind-the-scenes footage, you can also join the Unholy Army on Patreon as well, guys. Thank you very much once again for watching, listening to all this. See you soon.